Imagine being locked inside the most beautiful museum in the world. Masterpiece paintings hang on the walls, marble statues stand gracefully, but all the windows have been sealed shut. There is no food, no way out, and every day the walls inch closer, while from outside you hear the stomp of boots and explosions that promise to bury you alive along with all that beauty. This is not fiction. This is the reality experienced by 3 million souls. Welcome to the most civilized hell ever created by mankind. Welcome to the siege of Leningrad. Here, in this city of canals and palaces, we will witness not a battle between armies, but a final struggle between civilization and the most primal instinct to survive. Do you dare to see how far humans can fall and how high they can rise when a 125-gram piece of bread becomes the sole determinant between you and a mass grave in the city park? On the unforgiving Baltic swamps, Peter the Great imposed his will upon nature. He built the window to Europe out of nothingness. St. Petersburg, Petrograd, Leningrad. It was a masterpiece born in blood. A city of canals, golden domes, and Tchaikovsky's melodies. This city was the proof of Russian intellect and soul. But for a failed painter from Austria, this city was a festering boil to be lanced. Adolf Hitler did not see the Winter Palace. He saw the Bolshevik nest, the symbol of an ideology he hated more than anything. His order was not to capture it. His order was to erase it. Leningrad must vanish from the face of the earth, he decreed. This was a barbaric experiment. What happens when you cage a great city, sever all its ties, and simply wait? His generals called it Operation Starvation, a siege, but it was more. It was the shackling of a living organism to then watch it tear itself apart from the inside. At first, the war was just a rumble on the radio. Then, the rumble became a roar drawing closer. The Blitzkrieg, Germany's lightning war, ripped through Soviet defenses like a hot knife through butter. The confidence of Leningrad's citizens, who believed their city was untouchable, evaporated along with the smoke from bombed factories. On September 8, 1941, with the capture of Schlesselburg, the trapdoor clicked and locked. A ring of steel, mines, and automatic weapons now encircled 3 million lives. The last railway line was cut. The only remaining link to the outside world was a vast lake to the east, Lake Ladoga, and Russia's legendary winter was already waiting on the doorstep. The first catastrophe came from the sky, bringing an unforgettable smell. The Luftwaffe, the Nazi Air Force, did not attack military barracks first. They struck the Badayev warehouses, the city's giant food depot. Thousands of tons of sugar, flour, butter, and meat were stored here. Incendiary bombs rained on the wooden roofs, igniting a colossal bonfire visible from across the city. The wind carried a terrible sweet burnt scent, the smell of burning bread, of a charred future. It was not just an attack, it was a cruel psychological message. We will not just kill you, we will starve you to death. And the message was received. In the biting cold, a monster named Golod, hunger, was born.
The winter of 1941-1942 was a monster itself. Thermometers broke at -35, -40. The Neva River froze into a giant tombstone. But the cold was only the second executioner. The main one was the shrinking bread ration. From 500 grams to 300, then 250. Then arrived the number forever etched in history, 125 grams. That was the daily ration for an office worker, a mother, or a child. A tiny piece, weighing as much as 2 matchboxes, damp and brownish. It wasn't even bread, it was the illusion of bread, made from anything grindable. Cattle feed bran, cottonseed, sawdust, wood cellulose, glue from wallpaper. Eating it was like chewing bitter, damp soil. But that piece was everything. Losing it, or losing the ration card that came with it, meant a death sentence. The civilized city slowly crawled back to the Stone Age. Water pipes burst. People queued for hours at holes in the frozen Neva, praying bombs wouldn't fall as they filled their buckets. Electricity died, leaving total darkness lit only by moonlight on snow or anti-aircraft searchlights. The sound of the city changed. No more trams or laughter, just the endless squeak of sledges. Sledges used to haul stiff corpses wrapped in cloth or simply left lying in the streets. People grew accustomed to stepping over them. Death became mundane, boring. Pets vanished, then rats and birds. People began boiling the glue from their leather belts. A doctor noted in his diary, "Today we admitted a patient who ate powder from a brick. He thought it was frozen flour. His intestines are destroyed." Then came the moment when all alternative food sources were exhausted. When hunger was no longer just a pain in the stomach, but a black fog eating away at sanity and morality. That was when the final boundary was crossed. Cannibalism. Soviet authorities would hide this horrific fact for decades, but it happened. First, passive cannibalism, cutting flesh from corpses already lying in morgues or on the streets. But then, predatory cannibalism emerged. Gangs hunted in the darkness. They lured lost children or weakened elders with a fake piece of bread. In the black market, code terms appeared, horse meat or beef, which was often something far more terrible. The NKVD secret police formed special units. Those caught consuming human flesh were executed on the spot, their bodies left as a warning. In a frozen apartment, a mother driven mad by hunger was found staring at her deceased child. "I only took a little from his leg," she whispered blankly, "for his younger sister, who is still alive." In the hell of Leningrad, the monster did not come from without the walls. It grew from inside the stomachs of the starving. Yet, in that utter darkness, there were always sparks of light. To the east, across the frozen Lake Ladoga, Soviet engineers built the impossible, the road of life, a highway over fragile ice. Hundreds of trucks, driven by teenage girls whose hands froze to the wheel, risked their lives crossing cracking ice under Nazi bombardment. Many disappeared, swallowed by the black, icy water of the lake. But those who made it brought flour and medicine and carried out emaciated children. That road was a thin lifeline,
a sign they had not been completely abandoned. And in the midst of all this, there was the most heroic rebellion of the spirit. Composer Dmitri Shostakovich, trapped in the city at the start of the siege, wrote his 7th symphony, Leningrad. In August 1942, at the height of suffering, the city's leaders decided to perform it. They gathered the surviving musicians of the Leningrad Radio Orchestra. Some had to be picked up by sled because they were too weak to walk. They were given extra rations to have the strength to blow trumpets and draw bows. When the concert began, the cold Philharmonic Hall was filled with people half dead from starvation, wearing every piece of clothing they owned. The powerful, angry, hopeful music echoed through loudspeakers into the empty streets, piercing the front lines, reaching the astonished ears of German soldiers. It was the most defiant roar ever uttered by a dying city. We are still alive. The siege was finally broken in January 1944, after 872 days, almost 2.5 years. When the liberating troops entered, what they found was a ghost town inhabited by shadows of humans. Corpses still littered the ground. More than 1 million civilians perished, most from starvation. It was the largest loss of life ever suffered by a single city in modern warfare. The story of Leningrad is a tale of thresholds, the threshold of a city, a nation, and most of all, the threshold of humanity itself. It shows how quickly that thin veneer of civilization can be stripped away, revealing primeval darkness. But it also shows that even at the heart of that darkness, the flame of creativity, solidarity, and the sheer will to not yield, even if only enough to blow a trumpet or drive a truck across ice, never fully goes out. Leningrad did not just survive. It, in its most horrific and most noble way, proved that even when humans are forced to stare into the abyss of cannibalism, they can still look up to the sky and create a symphony.